Before starting the discussion, I would like to say one thing. The disclosure for measure of profit or loss is a mandatory thing to be disclosed in the segment report. But in case of assets and liabilities, only if those disclosures or those figures are provided to CODM. CODM stands for Chief Operating Decision Maker on a regular basis. We need to provide disclosure for assets and liabilities. Now, let's start a discussion with 8.24, the paragraph 24 of IFRS 8. It will require certain disclosure in respect of the assets of the company. If two conditions, any of the two conditions, like if it is provided on a regular basis or it is being reviewed by CODM, then in such a case, apart from disclosing segment assets, we need to disclose two more items. The first one is the investment in the associate or in the joint venture, which is accounted under the equity method, and any non-current assets, or we can say that any capital expenditure apart from deferred taxes, any defined benefit, or any financial instruments. So, in respect of assets, these two are required to be disclosed to when any of the two conditions, like it is provided on a regular basis or it is being reviewed by the CODM, we need to provide the disclosure. Now let's move into the practical aspect. 8.24. The disclosure under the 8.24 would look like this. The segment assets, any assets which are accounted for as in equity investments and using the equity method of investing, and the capital expenditure. As I've told you earlier, the investment in a non-current assets can be shown as a capital expenditure. And the same we need to disclose for the comparative. This is another form of disclosure. Note number 4, serial number 4. This is another form of disclosure, segment assets. So on the furniture, we have this many assets. On the retail, we have this much of assets. Under the IT consulting, we have this much of assets. So these are some segments. And segment assets, investment in associate joint venture, and addition to non-current assets. So these are other than financial instruments, defined benefit assets, and other than deferred tax assets. So these three items are ignored. So this is the disclosure requirement for any assets. Now, before closing the 8.25, before closing this video, I would like to say one thing. If you join this video right now, just make sure you understand one critical difference between IAS 14 and IFRS 8 is the management approach. Thinking from the management's perspective is one of the most key differences that has been introduced by IFRS 8. Now, what is the management approach? All those figures which are explained or which are disclosed in the segment report are the figures which are provided to CODM for the purpose of decision making. So, if an investor sees the CODM, the chief operating decision maker, took all the decisions during the current year based on the data available to him, and the data is this. This means the segment reporting. So this is the difference. That's why we need to prepare the reconciliation statement also, and we need to think like what are the data on the basis of which CODM has took the decisions for the current year. Thank you. We'll see you in the next lecture.